J-Storm. But there you have it, guys. Jarvan the fourth, still finding his way into the ban list or the pick list despite being nerfed, quite substantially in terms of his sustain or his survivability in team fights especially. But nevertheless, it is something that teams just don't want to deal with in terms of his reliability. So that hasn't been touched. He's just become easier to explode.
So this is the new patch that we're playing on. Bart is currently not available because he's a new champion. Disabled because that's just how new champions roll. You don't want them to be down there messing up the balance and everything. Zed, Jarvan, Morgana, 3 bans from 269, Xerath, LeBlanc, and Rek'Sai to round out the bans from the Bangkok Titans. 269 looks like they're hovering over Leona over here, considering that they have banned out the Morgana. Leona is a very solid engagement spot.
Yeah, that is probably their game plan at the moment, as signaled by the Morgana ban you called out. And I think it flows quite nicely with the way 269 plays. They're a team that often goes a little too aggressive, but at the same time, it's something that's natural for them. Aggression, I think, is something that they are very, very used to playing, this style. And Leona fits perfectly in there, as well as, I want to say, at least for this pick and ban phase, it isn't going to give away all too much. But I wonder how strongly contested that really is on the side of BKT. I don't think they'll be faced by that. It's just more a natural pick for 269 than a power pick per se.
Definitely Leona in the context of the champion. She is excellent against immobile champions. If your opponent goes for those, Victor in the mid lane doesn't really have a lot of movement abilities. When you upgrade the Q on him, he gets the additional movement speed bonus, but that's not really the most reliable against the hard engage that Leona might be providing. So Bangkok Titans hovering over Victor around here, they might be feeling that, okay, you're running a Leona, there's some hard engage that's coming in. Okay, they do not go for the Victor in the end. If they went for it, it would have been interesting. But nonetheless, they're going to be going for the Maokai, locked in already in the top lane. And looks like they will be securing the Rengar for 007X. Oh, Rengar on 007X. We haven't really seen him play the champion, but 007X is known to be one of those junglers who isn't that proficient mechanically. And Rengar is kind of infamous as the champion who jumps in and then misses the bola.
You miss the bola, and the casters all go, the audience goes, everybody goes, even the players like, man, it doesn't look that hard on stream. But when you're the one controlling, the E, and it's difficult, guys. Button pressing can be hard. But nevertheless, I'm interested kind of to talk a little bit about the hover over the Victor for G4. Because we've seen teams approach BKT in the pick and ban phase and say, target G4's champion pool a bit more. This is something that actually 269 hasn't done. Other teams have found success by doing that, targeting G4 very, very heavily. And he has necessarily, very early on, again, with the tighter schedule of GPL, had to expand very quickly into the likes of Cassiopeia, bring out champions like that. I wonder if Victor's kind of his new champion to bring out. I'm excited because it shows that G4 kind of knows there's a bit of a crosshair on his back and he needs to expand his champion pool because of that.
It will be interesting if it does go for the Victor in that case. Usually when we see a Rengar in the jungle, we see it paired with another strong engaged champion in the mid lane. Twisted Fate is definitely an option over here. But let's talk a little bit about the Sejuani as well as the Lucian that has been picked up by 269 over here. Sejuani for 269, that's the new jungler. Or rather, she is still the same Sejuani, but with the new jungle items, especially with the Cinderhawk. She's going to be speeding up her jungle prowess quite a fair bit, and I'm going to wonder if she's going to be building the Liandry's Torment for herself.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, Liandry's Torment, you talk about that on Sejuani, a lot of people are like, that's kind of troll. But as you said, with the addition of the Cinderhawk item, it's a smoother item transition. The item path, the item curve is not as punishing or as troll as some people would term it. And definitely it's something that players have been exploring even in the likes of, solo queue streams. You can find that kind of thing. Competitively, though, haven't seen it had any kind of success. So this could be a very, very interesting game to see how 269's having, what kind of item path he chooses to go for. On the other hand, we have Janna and Corki picked up on the side of BKT. So very, very standard. And, even after the Janna changes, we're still seeing her have a lot of prominence in the competitive scene. And I think mostly just due to the fact that getting used to the movement speed change, it's more of a directional kind of thing, but her disengage still remains the same. Resetting the team fight with her Monsoon, still just as good as ever.
I'm not going to be talking about the Poppy and the Karthus until they lock them in, but we have seen 269 play the Poppy a few times
5 seconds.
Before.
Yeah.
Previously it was Chrom in the top lane, they swapped that out, now it's King JJ playing in the top lane. Now there's 269, they have played with Poppy before, and they have been able to treat out some wins against the Colon Pohadas, the first group stages, and they are going to lock it in. So, like I promised, now that they've locked it in, let's talk a little bit more about it. So on the side of 269, lots of hard scaling coming in from them. Karthus, very strong scaling champion. Poppy, an absolute monster in the late game. And here's the thing about Poppy. They see the Janna on the other side. What is one thing that Janna can blow back? That is a diplomatic immunity.
That's right.
Because when Poppy has the diplomatic immunity on someone else, Janna will not be able to knock up or blow back the Poppy. And that's a lot of the disengage the BKT might be relying on in this case going away. But it looks like they will be going for a big composition on their end. They have the disengage coming from the Janna, and looks like they will be wanting to find the engage in the form of Lissandra as well as Maokai as their main catch components.
This is very interesting because I feel that the giraffe face from 269. Well, I mean, it's hard to say because obviously we don't see Karthus and Poppy out too much. But the fact that BKT is going for this pick composition, you look at the champions on the side of 269, and sure, you know, or rather, it's really hard to say which one of those you'd want to pick. I mean, obviously Lucian stands out, but other than that, I mean, Poppy, once she starts to scale, quite difficult to take down, honestly, and that leaves you, you know, with Lucian and what, Karthus? Karthus doesn't mind dying as long as he gets into the team fight. So this is rather interesting how exactly BKT will play. I do think that the Ahri is perhaps a bit more of the consistent damage they're looking for, just a bit more burst that the true damage will provide, you know, even if they lock down a tanky target like Sejuani or Poppy. But it's a very interesting pick and ban phase coming out between these two teams.
So Bangkok Titans just kind of break down their team composition, going for a break composition on their side. They have the Ahri as well as the Rengar as the catch tools, the Maokai as well as the Janna for the peel as well as the disengage. The moment they pick 1 or 2 people off. So I would feel the Bangkok Titans in this case, they will be trying to go for a stronger and more solid mid game in which they need to get a lead against 269, who have gone for more of a scaling composition with the Karthus, with the Sejuani as well as the Poppy.
Yeah, I think we should see quite a considerable focus in the mid lane as well, because I think the Ahri pick does signal that G4 as well as the rest of BKT want to, you know, push in this Karthus and maybe abuse the fact that if they can get the Corki going, you know, like you said, the mid-game power spike. Because if you look at it on the side of 269, they honestly have, you know, quite rubbish wave clear until that Karthus starts to scale. So keeping him under control, say up to the mid-game, might be their key to getting, you know, a few towers down early, use that gold lead to contest more objectives like the Dragon.
Definitely. I was thinking it might have been possible for BKT to play an Astra in the mid lane, play the double AD carry siege composition, especially because they have the Maokai and the Janna already, but that's kind of risky to run into a Poppy, Sejuani as well as Leon. Lots of hard engagement coming in, but we've seen some interesting adaptations around it, especially when SF5 played it against IGL. They would use one AD carry to bait out all the spells first, and then Optimus on the mid lane Astra would go in and clean up. So we might see certain juggling of the aggro over here, maybe send Rengar in, dive in, eat a lot of the spells, perhaps eat the diplomatic immunity, and then have the Ahri and Corki move in for the cleanup.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a test to BKT as the team fighting team that we've always called them, right? And folks, if you're wondering why exactly we're talking so much about these two teams, well, we are working with the spectator delay as we are playing on the live server, so do bear with us. That's just ticking away, only about a minute more on that. And that does give us time to get into a bit more of the intricacies of, I think, the table that is, you know, worth mentioning to our audience. For example, J-Storm, how exactly did 269 find their way up to the top of the table? Again, it's only week 3, right? It's only the 3rd week in, but, or 2 weeks in. So we're into week 3 now, right? But it's still something that we weren't expecting, I think, after the results from split number 1.
So, tell me more about this, because this is a very interesting table, because 269, like I said, nobody expected it. The top of the table with 4 points. I mean, you casted some of these games.
Sure.
Kind of break down what happened between them and Fu Lewis.
So I think that, yeah, the series that Fu Lewis dropped to 269 might have been given, you know, a lot of confidence over to 269, honestly, because if you recall game number 1 between 269 and Hanoi Fu Lewis from week 1, it was a game where there were 3 Barons and 8 Dragons in total taken. And 3 Barons, all of them belong to Hanoi Fu Lewis, you know, and they still dropped the game. And I think from there, 269 just seemed to be playing with more confidence. I wouldn't immediately say that their play has sharpened, but it seems like having that experience of going up against, you know, my goodness, we beat a team that took 3 Barons and, you know, 3 Dragons as well. In the end, they got 5 Dragons. So, you know, that's kind of the confidence I think 269 is playing with. And I have to say that they seem a little bit more hungry for the title or top spot than the likes of BKT and Anfan Ultimate, who on their end seem to be a bit more willing to experiment. We've seen Anfan Ultimate pull out things like the jungle Nidalee, which they're not too used to, the jungle Rengar, which they're not too used to, which worked well for them. But, you know, we see BKT as well sometimes trying out, you know, a few new strategies, trying to increase their flexibility, and that might not be the strongest calling card for the top spot. Whereas 269 is, we're just going to stick with what we know.
Well, I mean, another perspective that you could bring to it is the kind of competition that they were facing in phase 1 of the GPL.
It's true.
So for 269, we saw them play against the Kuala Lumpur Hunters, Bizarre
Yeah,
Things by
yeah.
Incidents Gaming Legends, and we saw a lot of scrappy games coming through for these teams, and I think that kind of helped them in the series against Hanoi Fuluis. because
For sure. That kind of experience, yeah.
They went
Yeah.
there and they had these really weird games where it came to 50 minutes and then there's multiple objective scenarios. Whereas on the side of HFL, the games were very tactically decided in the pick and ban phase, and the mid game was where the game would just explode, and then one team would have a team fight where one team would just execute better than the other, and that's where most of the games would be decided. But here we are moving into the game itself, and we have 269 spawning on the blue side.
And of course, that means that BKT are spawning on the red side. Ladies and gentlemen, the first match of the evening, morning or afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. This is week 3 of the GPL Stage 2. Again, since the start of the week, I think it's just timely to remind our viewers what exactly this Stage 2 entails. The GPL started off in Group Stage 1 with a total of 16 teams. Coming into Stage 2, the bottom 8 have been removed. So we're looking at Group A now, which contains 4 of the 8 teams. And right now, Celebrity, perhaps finding a bit too much of a following, says, hey, I don't want to deal with 5 people at the moment. Backs off, no problems whatsoever.
Some walls drop down into Triba, should spot out the entire team of BKT just simply marauding into their opponent's jungle at the moment. The possibility that the lanes up is definitely there as well. They will want to shut down King JJ, make sure that Poppy doesn't get any farm and a setback on level so that she gets as poor an early game as possible. But we have to see what BKT will be doing now. They're moving up at the top side of the jungle as well. Moving into the red buff area, there are 2 wards already dropped down by 269 over there. So the moment they walk through this small brush over here, bingo, there he is. Ward spots them out.
Yep, they should, that is BKT, should have made an educated guess though that with the time they spent bottom side of the enemy jungle, 269 would have walked into their own side and warded as well. So I'm not too sure. Not too sure what exactly they're trying to plan right here
They
with
see
all 5
everything.
members, yeah, going together. Very interesting. All right, so yeah, that one ward will be able to spot out key, most importantly, Lloyd and Valen's starting position.
Now this is interesting because what happened in all the early game vision exchange was that 269, they were able to see where BKT was starting. So they sent Sejuani as well as the top laner to farm and pick up the blue buff for themselves, which means that unlike a lane swap scenario where you have a half-minute split, there is going to be this window of opportunity where the jungler and top laner both hit into the bottom side of the map, and that's where things can get really hairy for BKT.
Alright, we'll have to see if BKT will preempt that timing window. I think it's something the GPL teams still getting used to, right? The whole lane swap game is just something that I think the region as a whole is still looking to have that one team that really shines above it all. I recall some of the games from last week where even though it was BKT that initiated the lane swap, they got nothing out of it. But then, you know, the opposing team, I think it was Hanoi Fuluis, dropped the ball as well. And it was just kind of a, you know, I like to say a comedy of errors because nobody seemed to really know what they were doing. So hopefully that becomes a thing of the past in Group Stage 2.
So we're looking at an interesting race over here. With now BKT heading over to the blue buff side as well. Valen choosing to make some early roams, not picking up level 2 as compared to what Surf has done. This will be rather interesting because now Leona's roam will have the Zenith Blade into Shield of Daybreak combo available.
Alright, nothing too different from these 2 teams at the moment, both just getting the double buff start. Good word right there from BKT. Gonna be able to spot out Heaven right there.
Got crab mechanics. No chance of missing with these 2 champions.
Very
So,
true, very true.
10 out of 10 for them. Good job, 269 situation. Got a crab. Oh, the move over to the dragon itself. And this is the thing, because Valen made such an early roam, his own base was delayed and he wasn't able to get the early ward that a lane swapping team would usually want to get. So now here we have 269 just starting with a very early dragon for themselves. And at 3 minutes, in fact 4 minutes, dragon number 1 of the game. It's over to 269.
Very, very early. No vision in the direct dragon pit for BKT, so they'll have to just make an educated guess based on the dragon buff indicator. But you know, this is something we've seen that is quite common in the lane swap scenario. You know, whichever team basically brings their jungle as well as their strong side, you know, the dual bottom around there, that dragon's more or less theirs. Not too big of an issue. I don't think it's going to have too much of an impact on BKT this early on.
What I felt was interesting was in all that time, the wave pushed out, and Warlock was able to secure a whole bunch of CS as well as experience for himself. Currently, the top laners Warlock stands at level 3 with 13 CS. There's a whole bunch of gold that the top laner usually doesn't get in the lane swap scenario. And King JJ on the other hand, struggling at level 2 and now trying to sneak in some experience over here against the Janna cocky lane. But Valen is still level 1. The support Janna hasn't been able to get any experience at all.
Alright then, so perhaps warning signs once again of whether or not the teams have...
Oh, King JJ!
King JJ gets locked down, didn't miss this bola, and the exhaust has been landed as well. Remember, no flash on the King JJ. They really want this, they flash it for it, and they managed to get it as well. Very nicely done, only one flash as well as the exhaust expended. And there's the level 2 that Valen desperately needs, saying, hey, you know what, I can make plays even when I'm level 1.
You know, to me it looked like a second there that they wouldn't be able to get the kill simply because Valen was only level 1 and only had the shield available for himself. And that would have been a rather disastrous effort because you commit so much on the top lane, Valen's still level 1 and you don't get the kill on the top laner. But nonetheless, King JJ, he goes to summon a spell and they still are able to pull through, but it didn't cost them to summon the spells.
Yeah, I think that this is good signs though for... I feel maybe it's a bit too much of a tangent, but I think it's still worth bringing up. You know, when you don't have flash in the lane, you really need to hit that champion hard. And the reason why I mention this is because there's been a champion that runs this exact same matchup and doesn't get punished. And that's the top lane Hecarim, right? I mean, why hasn't the same thing happened, especially before he reaches, you know, more levels on his W or even his ultimate? It's good to see BKT, you know, kind of just saying, look, he doesn't have flash, we can go for this. And that puts him even more behind, you know, how you were saying Warlock was getting all that free farm. Even worse now for King JJ, he's poor as well as behind in levels.
So now Warlock, he has the level advantage, and that's going to be putting a lot of pressure to having to make a visit to the top lane to help King JJ even the skills up against this Maokai over here.
Double Durant start as well, so Warlock really wants to just bully his way around the early game lead that he's gotten. King JJ with the Flask buy though, as well as the Ruby Crystal pickup, should be able to do quite alright. Poppy's passive, of course, quite helpful in helping her avoid burst damage. And it looks like he'll be able to pick up most of the CS under the tower.
So far, he's gotten all of it. I wonder if he can get all of it. Warlock moving for some harass and... Oh, he misses one in the end. Not too big of a loss. Not too big of a loss.
Double 7X actually jumping onto Heaven right here, doing a good amount of damage, lowering him to about a third of his health. But Heaven has joined the fight. G4 now, they're already level 6 compared to the level 4 of Sir as well as Heaven. A nice wall from beyond to actually deter them. Charm does land, but I think there's not enough damage coming in. There's the Spirit Rush. Oh, the bolas, that's the one you gotta watch out for. But of course, it was flashed away from Sir at the last moment. Heaven, well, very, very greedy right here, but I suppose that Smite is quite effectively used to get the vision in the jungle. That Wolf Spirit serving just as well as any ward, but here we go. That is the prize for the timely aggression of BKT, the enemy's blue buff given over to G4.
Now this is something that we haven't really seen in the new Season 5 lane swaps ever since the new jungle appeared. This is something that used to happen a lot more in the old jungle, where in these kind of lane swap scenarios, you would keep a lot and a very tight track of your opponent's buff timers.
Right.
And whenever they would spawn, you move in very aggressively, get the wards down, grab 2, 3, maybe even 4 people, and have a fight over them, pick up your opponent's jungle.
Oh, Lloyd dropping rather low here, has to flash away. Didn't want to get taken down by Celebrity, but he's been dropped low enough that it might just be in time to call in a dive from Heaven as well. Heaven, not level 6 though, has already expended his flash, so they need to make this count. Oh, there's the ultimate from Cartridge as well. Valen actually blocks the knockup. Zenith Blade misses, but there's a slow coming in from Heaven. Lloyd knows he needs to turn, but it is not enough damage, so a good job by Heaven. As well as beyond. Oh, teleport coming in from the back. Warlock, he's mad, he's an angry tree. Can they get Heaven before he goes over? Doesn't quite look like it. Oh, the bolus landing onto King JJ. There's the double bolus to lock him down. Doesn't have his ultimate just yet, so he can be taken down. But that popping passive actually keeping him from being bursted down. So 269 playing very nicely with the Karthus ultimate to get one very easy kill. And then that wall once again in the jungle just deters so much chase. So in the end, 2 kills going over to 269.
a rather sloppy defense that I have to criticize BKT over there for. They knew that the jungler was there already, and I have to say, Vaden with some interesting role play over there, blocking out the Sejuani Arctic Assault
Yeah.
onto Lloyd over there. Still wasn't enough to cut the Master. And then Warlock's teleport completely late at this point of time. He had the cooldown available to him in all that period of time, the teleport just way too late. If that had come in so much earlier, it could have made Valen's role play pay off a lot more dividends.
Indeed, a bro play, but sometimes you need more than one bro. You need two bros. Oh, a nice charm actually lands on the Beyond, and a whole spell range actually lands. Ignite pop as well. I think he's got it right here. Exhaust not enough. Flashes away just for the safety. A nice job by BKT's G4. Have to wonder why Beyond didn't just exhaust him earlier. But nevertheless, G4 making some big plays on his own. Will be able to push in this wave. Looks like Heaven will be on wave 3rd duty.
And with the mid laner 269 down Bangkok Titans, they know that this Dragon Timer is up. They very willingly sacrifice the first one, and then they just move in for the kill onto the second.
Yeah, quite a bit of sloppy play there from Beyond, and knowing the timer, the fact that his team took it, just meant that he should have been ready to kind of deter or deflect any kind of aggression leveled his way. Nevertheless, a good job by BKT to secure that for themselves. So one dragon apiece, folks, and the gold pretty much right about at the same mark, about 14,000 gold. So these two teams very, very evenly matched at this point in time, and looks like we've got a game on our hands.
Here's something interesting about the itemization that's coming in. 7X went for the very early boost of mobility instead of going for the Warriors Enchantment for the additional cooldown reduction, but in the top lane, having goes for a gank.
Ooh, Warlock actually, I'm not sure if he dodged the knockup. Whoa, the bullets go extremely wide. A nice knockback from Warlock to try and deny the poppy charge, but it looks like they've still got him. 7X doesn't actually manage to lock him down under the tower, importantly. Looks like he popped his ultimate as well, but no can do. An easy kill picked up by the members of 269 top and jungle. And BKT's 7X just a little bit late to that.
Haven't really playing really well this game, making an impact around the map. Not only getting more farm than his opponent Rengar, but being able to crash in the lane, blow some of the spells, as well as secure kills and kind of evening out for King JJ. We were worried about the Poppy against Maokai because of what happened in the lane drop earlier.
Yeah.
That evened it out.
Indeed, and the very, very delayed TP as well, as you mentioned. Warlock has not really made the best use of his lead, and I think, as you said, now that that's closed, you have to wonder about the super mega scaling that is going to start kicking in for 269. Not quite just yet, folks, right? It's only 12 minutes in, so we still have a ways to go for that competition to kick in. But in terms of the moves they're making to get those champions to that point, I think that, 269 is doing a fair job of it.
Here once again is the Rondo. Once more we feeling. Have it in the top lane.
Alright, Warlock has no wards in the area. Might sense that something's up though, and yep, it is the Cinder Hulk build being picked up or being followed by Heavens. So, as you mentioned, he's been doing a fair job for himself. Got 2 assists under his name. Now, this Death Squad by BKT, if we can call it that, has been spotted by a ward. So all the members of 269 just backing off. Nothing too crazy is going to come of that. And 269, to their credit, has been playing rather well to deflect any kind of invasion towards his own jungle. But that does mean that while they don't lose any members, yeah, they do drop buffs though, yeah. Seems like the members of 269 don't really want to tangle all too much. Saying, alright, we'll lose the buff, but we know the scaling's in our favor. If none of our champions die, we don't give the enemy team excessive gold. Sooner or later, we're just going to be able to outscale them.
I still like the way they provided security around that. They knew that they would fall people over there just in case anybody was caught up. They still put Surf all the way from the bottom lane and beyond us. So sacrifice a little bit of farm in the mid lane to get over there just in case something happened. But nonetheless, it was a little bit slow. Or else I felt that 269 could have made a legitimate attempt in stopping BKT from picking up those buffs. They had such good vision coverage of the area.
That's right. Makes you wonder, how confident or how aggressive exactly they'll be using that Leona pickup. I mean, after all, it was their very first pick in the pick and ban phase. So we'll have to see. It definitely has been a lot of bodyguard duty for Sir, but now that he's hit 6, we might see a bit more aggression activated. And, to compare his lane counterpart or his lane buddy, Celebrity on his own, he's been doing a fantastic job, has picked up 2 kills already, and, I don't think he needs all too much babysitting. The real question, though, for BKT is where exactly is this Corki going to factor into the mid game? Because he's had a bit more of a rough start. Hasn't quite been able to translate his power in. You know, roughly around 14 minutes or so is a good timing or very strong timing to hit for your Triforce, but that hasn't happened.
I love the read the Celebrity has on 007X at the moment. They didn't have vision in the jungle, but he knew that if he were to appear into bottom lane and duel up with Lloyd, the Rengar is gonna pop his ultimate, run down the lane and just jump onto him. I like the things that 269 as a team, they're thinking about, okay, where could 007X be? He has his ultimate, that's off cooldown now. Who is he gonna gank? And it's like, Celebrity.
Right.
Straight away backside of the lane. And the read is spot on. 007X is still hanging one bound behind Lloyd, trying to bait out Celebrity over here. And Celebrity just playing it so safe, not even taking any chances, popping the culling to clear out the wave.
That's right. I mean, it's just the, you know, 100% play, I like to call it, where, yeah, I mean, there was a big wave coming his way, and if he had been
He
greedy
doesn't
for
even stay under the turret.
No, he goes. I mean, he's cleared out the wave. He's already used his culling, right? And, you know, if Lloyd is just going to slow push it, he might even be able to make it in time. But, of course, this ward right here, Celebrity flashed away. The charm doesn't hit, but he has no more mobility spells. His dash now coming off cooldown. Flash use as well. G4 flashing in for the last Orb of Deception. Nicely done there, burning all of the mobility from Celebrity before flashing in for the last skill shot of his own. G4 has been able to find, you know, one-on-one assassination plays of his own, so he's making a good case of this pick composition of BKT all on his own.
Fantastic, it's like what you pointed out. And once again, it's another buff steal going over to the Bangkok Titans. And I have to say, BKT haven't really been looking too sharp this game. They are playing this pick composition, but as a team, they haven't really gotten the vision, denial, and control that they want down for it. But G4, just playing a one-man show, moving in there and finding the picks solo.
Yeah, I wonder how much of the conversation between G4 and 007X was, come on, bro, you wasted, you know, full 2 minutes just trying to get him in his lane. I'm just going to get him in his jungle. You know, G4 does that. Fantastic on his part. But I think you rightfully pointed out, where's the team play for BKT, right? In terms of the composition, they're working against a composition on the side of 269 that can just wait, right? 269 as a team, their strategy is, all right, we're going to wait as a team. BKT as a team need to be finding picks to stop that kind of slow roll, that slow growth of 269.
I actually think it's fine because BKT, they're going to be looking for the first round of power spikes, which they just were able to get 16 minutes, Trinity Force on the Coffee,
right.
Morello number 1 on the Ari with 2 kills. I'm surprised she doesn't have Sorcerer's Boots. I do believe she will be getting that on the next back, and then the Righteous Glory on the Maokai as well. And then that's when BKT will start to want to pressure objectives really heavily and really not be so worried about, okay, if I pick people up here, we end up in a 5v5 fight, the things turn out too badly for us. It's just where I thought they dropped the bomb. Dragon respawn in 16 minutes, and when you are playing a timer pop, you usually want 3 dragons, 4 dragons. When the time comes around, we kind of feel that you're getting out of skill, so that you still have objective pressure around the map. But 269, they secure a second dragon for themselves.
Very, very true. Now we saw the Solar Flare drop spot onto Lloyd's head, but honestly it didn't matter because there wasn't any kind of follow-up. So I wonder if that was just a bit of a flexing of the muscles on the side of Sir right there. You have to say completely unnecessary because with the items, as you pointed out, this mid-game spike, this power spike that BKT has, yes, they did drop the ball onto the Dragon, but you have to think they'll go super aggressive right now. Oh, the Charm actually not going to hit right there as well as the big one. So Celebrity playing it cool right there and managing to chunk G4 very, very low.
You know, I actually think G4 is a ninja at this point because when he was solo, he was landing those charms spot on, getting those picks off, getting those pickoffs. He already used the Spirit Rush into Lucian's face. And then because the rest of his team appeared, that charm was a rather uncharacteristic miss from him.
Yeah, quite true. Although it looks like he did not use his Spirit Charm actually. That's still off cooldown, so that's still available to him, but it was point blank, right? he just whiffed that charm. And so we can see that in terms of pick potential, BKT will need to have the correct mechanics to muster that. In the top lane, it's really just been a back and forth, and as much as Corki has gotten his Trinity Force, so too does King JJ, and maybe he wants to tangle right here. Sir coming up to back up his buddy right there. Are they going to go for the dive? Sir is very tanky, and look at that. That one Trinity Force proc along with Poppy's Q. Absolutely just chunking the tree right there. So Warlock, I mean, you might think that maybe a bit of his time, especially in the lane, has expired as Poppy has gotten that Trinity Force and will start to become a massive, massive bully.
Now the blue buff is going to be spawning again on the side of 269. I wonder if Bangkok Titans really going to steal the buff once again. But it looks like they're not making any intentions around that. Rengar is just cocky near the bottom side of the map. They're going to be giving the blue buff. Oh, in fact, the blue buff already has gone over to Beyond. Now this is why I dislike giving that third dragon over to 269 so much, because that's a big composition. You usually want an objective such as dragon or baron to be able to lure your opponents in, so that you can
Right.
lure them into your area of vision denial and
right.
pick them off when they come in. And here's the thing, because you gave the dragon uncontested with 269, no Bangkok Titans, they're finding it very hard pressed. They just hit their power spikes, but it's so difficult for them to execute a big combo.
Yeah, it's like, what exactly do we do now? I mean, to their credit, they got bottom tier 1, and then they made a very quick rotation to tier 2. So they are moving the Corki to the lanes very, very quickly. In the top lane, though,
Hello,
we've
King
got
Lord.
blinking red health bars. So Warlock and King JJ both getting very, very low. Oh, Rengar is on the hunt, though. I do think he'll die for this. Even flashes. Oh, King JJ's like, man, I know where this is going. He just decides to have a bit of a chill time recalling. And this team, though, is making the counter push. Very, very nice job by 269, just reacting immediately, saying, if you're going to take our towers, we're going to take yours. All the way to the tier 2, but it doesn't look like we have many more, or much more of a creep wave to continue this push. We'll have to wait a while before that opportunity opens itself again. Meanwhile, top side though, BKT do have quite the massive creep wave, and they're going to get a lot of damage down onto this tier 2. And 269, what are they doing right here? They need to either swing all the way over to protect that, or have tried to push up mid, you know, with 4 members of their own against the 3. But as it is, I think BKT will get this pretty much uncontested. Heaven at the side, though, does manage a fantastic ultimate to lock down 2 members, but he's all alone at the moment. 007X getting rather low. A nice solar flare to lock 007X down. He'll be falling in just a moment. There's the Valkyrie away from Lloyd. What are your thoughts on that, Jensen? Worth, not
It's
worth?
not over yet.
Are they
Okay,
gonna
now
keep
it is.
chasing? Yeah, I don't think that will chase.
I mean, this is where Bangkok Titans, they show their experience over 269. They go down there to pick up the first tower for themselves, and they judge the rotations. They judge these timings really well. Moving down, picking up a second tower for themselves, was sending the right number of members to defend the push in the mid lane. And 269, they show some hesitance over there. It's like, can we get this? Can we not get this? G4 doesn't even have to land the charm. And straight away 269, they are on the retreat. And I have to say, there's a nice play from Heaven coming in from the flank, dropping in the ultimate as well as the Arctic Assault to pick up 007X. But
And
nonetheless, the rotations from Bangkok Titans just on point.
yeah, I think you rightly pointed out that the experience of BKT coming up very, very strong right there. 269 themselves might be looking to return the favor of buff steals, but you know, on the point on just being more experienced and being more decisive with their calling. It looks like Karthus on the other side will be able to pick this off very, very quickly. Kind of rotation coming in right here does go over to Celebrity. I think Celebrity was able to pick that up for himself.
A little bit of tit for tat for 269. It's like, you stole
Yeah.
my blue buff earlier. Okay, it's fine. I've got my Royal Reaches now. I'm going to be stealing yours.
Yeah, alright, so a bit of a tense moment now as BKT knows that their territory has been encroached upon, and 269 has done a fantastic job clearing out the vision. Setting up now with Sir, as we mentioned, the first pick Leona. Where's the aggression that's going to be activated? BKT now themselves pushing back the line of vision on the side of 269. But you know, back to your point on experience and how I felt that, you know, after Lloyd had Valkyried away and they had a 5v4 and a Corki with no mana, you know, they really could have activated some kind of aggression right there. G4 getting locked down by the Solar Flare, but that's the second time we've seen Solar Flare activated. Honestly, with very, very little follow-up, and that should be indeed a very, very strong signal to G4 as well as the rest of BKT to activate their aggression. Maokai right in the middle of the team, splitting the ranks of 269. Same could be said for Poppy though. There's the Carbon ultimate, even though he's dropped. They're still fighting on top of the Defile. That's not the position they want, but Heaven, too much of an overextension, a massive explosion from the Maokai ultimate, picking himself up the triple kill, and they managed to completely rout the members of 269 right there. Fantastic team fighting coming in from BKT to turn away 269 after honestly what was a very, very sloppily placed Solar Flare.
Bangkok Titans look like they understand their power spikes really well. So they missed the first window of opportunity because they lost and they gave up the third dragon. But now the moment the next one came up, Arby was able to complete the Abyssal Scepter for herself. And look at the amount of magic damage on the side of Bangkok Titans. Corki with the missile. Maokai lots of magic damage as well. And definitely Ari herself. Very, very decisive play coming in, knowing that the Abyssal Scepter just does so much fatigue. They just move in, flash in for the engagement, and they are able to pick up such a big fight. And I want to talk more about the fight because it looked really deceptive. It looked like they were fighting on top of the default, but the members were just juking around it so well, avoiding the pulses coming from beyond as well. So 269, so much of the damage was nullified. And Bangkok Titans hitting major power spikes to be able to pick them off. 269, this is going to be Dragon number 3 for sure.
That's right. So it does, of course, raise a little bit of a question for our viewers, which is how much was BKT kind of just holding back, not contesting some of those earlier dragons when they hadn't reached those power spikes yet, or they weren't quite too confident. Because if you look at it, you pointed out kind of the dancing and the juking back and forth of BKT in the team fights. And that was something that you don't have the opportunity or the luxury of when you tunnel yourself into the narrow confines of, say, the Dragon Pit. So it is 3 dragons over to the side of 269, but BKT looking more confident with their team fighting, looking sharper, looking crisper, and they have gotten that Baron for themselves. So I think that the push right here, the tier 2s, soon to become an endangered, if not extinct species for 269.
But definitely tier 2 turrets, the moment your opponent gets the Dragon buff, those are really going to be falling really quickly. The Wall of Pain does drops to kind of deter any random aggression from Bangkok Titans. But looks like Bangkok Titans, they aren't setting the sights on kills. They're just going to be focusing on objectives for now. Venom's force out a ward over there. They're going to clear that out. Some pretty solid vision denial in the opponent's jungle, but at the moment, they've got full siege mode. They're going to be poking people down with Corky's rockets. Perhaps trying to catch up some people with Build of the Rune King completed for Corky as well.
Yeah, and the Baron buff honestly is extremely huge for the siege coming in for BKT. Mostly due to the fact that the safest wave clear that 269 has is that Karthus, and with the minions being buffed up so much, he's become a lot more, ineffective in clearing those waves. You can see he basically has to stand very far back, especially because he doesn't have his flash. And anytime he does even land one or two of those, Chaos Skittles, the minions are so buffed up it doesn't even matter. So just like that, every single tier 2 wiped off for 269 very, very easily due to the Baron buff on the side of BKT. And look at the gold spike because of that. After the Baron and all those tier 2s being dropped, 6,000 now. BKT, at 26 minutes in, that's a good lead to work with. I think that the next team fight will really be decisive to say whether or not BKT can seal this game or it swings, to become more even.
Now, I think this is going to be the test for BKT now. So with no objectives around the map, what is going to be their approach? They have the Baron buff, they still have a good 1.5 minutes on it, but then they continue to put pressure on the map. So the question is, how are they going to set up so that they are able to do the finishing blow to 269? I mean, 269, we've seen it come back lots of times before. Wonky games, it's a specialty. They came from Group B.
They're ready for the extended, the nitty-gritty, just drag out the game, brawl it out kind of team fight. Did I say team fight? Fights. I wouldn't even consider them a team fight sometimes, just scuffles back and forth, brawls back and forth, and they are used to that. And my kind of nod or salute to BKT in recognizing that is that BKT have picked up the items that they need to team fight very, very well, right? They have the Frozen Heart now, they have the Locket, no longer just Aegis. And look at that, they pick out Beyond. My goodness, he just gets absolutely blown up right there. I mean, without his flash available, that Karthus is so immobile. Does land a few good Skittles onto 007X, but that's what we were talking about, just before Beyond exploded. That Locket's gonna become huge, right? That magic damage, just not being that effective. And without the Karthus for wave clear, the only option they really have is Lucian or an all-in. So we'll have to see. I do think that BKT, if they're feeling confident, might just go for the all-in dive right here.
And here's the thing, even 269 they want to go for the all-in dive because Crucible is available for Villain as well on top of the Monsoon. That's gonna make it so hard for the Leona or Heaven to be getting any form of stick onto Bangkok Titans.
Yeah, Zonya's picked up as well. Even the Blade of Ruin King by Lloyd just saying, you know what guys, even if their backline, dives onto me, I can take care of myself for a while. And look at that, this third item isn't something offensive, it's that cloak as well. So again, BKT, we credit them a lot of times for just having, good communication in team fights and the way they play, but you look at the way they think about their item builds as well, and you talked about what do they need to close out the game. It's really to stick together as 5 and find the better team fight, and they've built that way.
Oh, sir.
That charm! My goodness. There's been a few times where GeForce hit some, really amazing charms, but the standard ones you go, how did he miss those? What's going on, man?
I think he has gone more, how did he miss the charm rather than, oh, that was a fantastic charm this game out. I mean, ever since we praised him after the click off of the Lucian,
It's Caster's Curse, man.
it's Caster's Curse. It's just been downhill all the way.
Technically, Lucian flashed that charm as well, though. But that's flash. I mean, that would be some Mad Life-esque charming if he managed to predict where exactly the flash would be heading. Nevertheless, it is a little bit tough for BKT to find their way, onto the inhibitor turrets. So BKT do think they'll need to find another pick before they make a consistent pass or a consistent go at one of these inhibitors. They're certainly setting up the vision denial game for it. There's the Rengar ultimate, looking for their target. Valkyrie in as well. Xur has been picked off. That's a lot of the initiation power coming out on the side of 269. This could be what they need. Of course, Sejuani as well as Karthus do discourage a lot of diving on the opposing team, so I don't think we'll see a dive, but the numbers advantage as well as the beefy Maokai in the front might just be enough to get Lloyd to that tower and take it down. Nice wall here, might deter them. A good ultimate coming in from 269's Heaven, but look at this, G4 saying, guys, we can fight this. It's 5v4, dancing around the edges. He's managed to occupy the meat shield of 269. In fact, both King JJ and Heaven really caught up taking care of G4, and the rest of the members of BKT kind of get a free pass because of that. They do play it rather conservatively, just going for the inhibitor turret, not the inhibitor itself. Blade of the Ruin King activated, a nice stun by King JJ. Push back actually, was that the right move? G4 actually sniping from the side right there. Xur wants to go in, he's healthy, but the rest of the team isn't. Flashes away from the slow. Nicely done right there, but 5v4 is the situation that BKT find themselves in. They want to clean up some of these kills before going for the inhibitor, I think, not wanting them to regen back to full HP. We'll have to see though. Xur is still very, very healthy. Doesn't quite manage to land the lockdown onto Lloyd. Heaven has come back full HP as well. Lloyd with this aggressive Valkyrie and doesn't have any more mobility to get out of the fight. Gets locked down. There is the Karthus passive, channeling his ultimate down. Quite a few members low, but not enough to take them down. There is 007X dropping. G4 at the side now, lands that charm, gets a good amount of damage down onto Heaven, but not enough to deter him. Looks like Valen will be getting away. And that greed coming out from BKT, just a bit too much right there. There's the Bilgewater Cutlass, as well as the Poppy Speed. Oh, G4. I think you're done. There you go, shutdown money, 500 gold. Quite the bounty on G4's head right there. And the 4th dragon, so the overstay of BKT. Expensive, expensive, expensive.
I mean, what else can I say about that? That was just sloppy coming from the Bangkok guys. They got 1 kill. They got to pick up the card after that, and they should have just backed away from that one. They got a little bit too greedy. They got one more. It's a free kill onto the top lane, and that's fine. Just back away from that one, but they just overextended. The team wasn't on the same page. Some people were saying, go for the inhibitors. Some of the others were saying, we're picking onto the Lucian. We even saw Warlock flashing in. Tried to get the assassination onto Lucian, but wasn't able to do that.
That's right, and I think that's where BKT, you know, kind of need to make a mental note of this and say, you know, when we're not on the same page, when we're, you know, not fighting as a team, that's where honestly they look weakest. I mean, it sounds like a silly thing to say competitively, but I think it's in line with the point I brought up about their builds, right? Where they've built, for example, Maokai full tank. Yeah, you can dive in, but you're not going to be diving in for assassination per se. You're diving in with the kind of backup damage, you know, that will be coming from, say, Corki or G4. And, you know, he dived so aggressively that Lloyd had to, you know, was almost forced into Valkyrieing in. And with that mobility down, you could see he was down. The consistent damage on the side of BKT was down, and it all just went in the favor of 269 from there. So BKT need to pull up the socks, get their team fighting together. After all, they've built that way, they look sharpest that way, and they've given 269 a bit too much breathing room to defend as well as capture the 4th dragon.
From what it looked like a million inhibitor for BKT, now it feels like they might have to go for 50-50 Baron fight on a very precarious Baron dance, where it's all up to the side waves as well as the vision that's going to be coming for them.
You mentioned the side waves, and indeed that is going in the favor of BKT. Both top and bottom pushing quite a heavy amount right now. Not enough vision cleared on the side of BKT to quite fool the members of 269. Maybe with that ward down, they can perhaps posture, do a little bit of a tango and draw the members of 269 in. Looks like 269 aren't too phased by this though.
Here's my one gripe about teams who play pick compositions. Get that Oracle's length upgrade as soon as you can, because as a pick composition, you rely on vision denial so much. You really want the Oracle's lens as early as possible, so that you're able to spot out all these random stray wards the opponent starts to adapt your playstyle with by throwing them to really random places.
Alright, but it looks like BKT has grown tired of the posturing. They have started off with the Baron, but it's still quite healthy. In fact, more than 50% HP. This is what we're talking about in terms of these narrow corridors. This AoE, oh my goodness, a massive Sejuani ult to lock down 4 members. Valen doing a good job to reset the fight. Double 7X actually jumped on the tankiest member on the side of 269. That's got to be a mistake. Beyond doesn't really care if he dies. Maybe he does. Activates the Zonya at the last second. Still wants to be alive, but 269 pouncing on the mistake of BKT to tunnel themselves into that narrow area. That has got to be a big mistake.
I mean, they had this huge wave pushing in the bottom lane. They should have just waited for that, waited for 269 to respond to that one, and then moved in for the Dragon. They got a little bit too hasty, they got a little bit too anxious. They saw Lucian appear in the top lane and they decided to start to burn off itself. They didn't have enough damage because on their side is an Ahri in the mid lane, it's a Corki. Both of these two champions don't really do all too much damage to Baron.
Very, very true. So the impatience biting BKT right now. Although we do have to say in terms of the static objectives, that is the non-respawning objectives for towers, BKT has held this lead of 7-3 for a considerable amount of time. So we talk about how, yes, the composition of 269 is starting to scale up, and it has already, you know, we're reaching the 35 minutes. It looks good, it's scary, it's formidable. But they haven't been able to push out and get the objectives for themselves as well. So both of these teams still needing to find a little bit of confidence, that little bit of aggression that, you know, at different points in time, you have to think 269's comp has scaled well enough. Maybe they're the ones that are going to be looking to be a bit more aggressive and a bit more precise, say, with their initiation, and not just throwing solar flares left and right.
And still no Oracle Sense. Once again, BKT, they clear out the vision, and they just move in for the Baron itself. G4 not in position to pick, Valen not in position to zone. This is just reckless from them.
Yeah, lower than 50% HP, but they pull off a nice pull up to lock down G4. Not sure if he's going to have time. The Zonya does get it off at the last moment in time, but look at this. Lloyd in the backline actually zoned away by King JJ. G4 as well, the 2 damage dealers actually zoned away, but look at that. Valen with a fantastic split, actually keeping his AD carry alive for a bit longer. I think the Karthus ultimate will be enough to take down Valen, but no, actually a last minute shield right there. Last second shield, you could say. Keeping Valen alive, and somehow BKT getting off very, very lightly, you have to say, taps on the wrist by tunneling themselves into very, very dangerous, possibly even game-ending Baron situations right there. It looks like 007X went for a little adventure in the jungle and just found himself a gray screen. Not too sure what he was doing right there.
I mean, as a pick composition, you only get that many opportunities to pick up from your opponents. You mess it up once, it's okay, you get a second try. And that was the second try already. They went in for engagement, he was just way too careless, way too uncoordinated. The debuffs from Baron was still on them. And you can see, they came up worse for the wear in the fight.
Yeah,
269 coming out ahead.
You have to wonder as well, Jason, what happened to those plays where they activated the Rengar ulti, you know, and pounced on Beyond, or they pounced on Sir. I mean, that happened twice, and that was their key to cracking open the inhibitor, right? I mean, they didn't get the inhibitor itself, but they got the inhibitor turned off that. Now they're tunneling themselves into these narrow areas, and it's what happened to that previous game plan.
Dragon is gonna spawn in 10 seconds. BKT, they need this timer. They need to respond to this one. This will be Dragon number 5. They can't shout Heaven on the side to get to knock up onto him. Maokai not in position just yet. Rengar and Corki still lagging a little bit behind 269. They might want to go and rush this one now. Never mind about that. The window of opportunity has closed. BKT, they're posturing for this one. This Dragon fight might just decide the game.
Crucially, Warlock, why he's late to this, he was actually clearing the top wave on the side of 269, which was massive. So the side lane game, you know, BKT, they seem to have some pieces of the puzzle in terms of closing out this game. They need the side lane control. But once they establish that, you know, they forgot about the picks. And once they're getting the picks, they forget about the side lane control. And now look at this, 269's Beyond. Karthus split push, man. This is the real deal. He's gonna get this tier 2 pretty much on his own. This would be the perfect time for 007X to activate his ultimate and pick him off, but no, too late for that. He's already rejoined his team. And the massive Groot, the Elixir of Iron, saying, come at me, bros. He's gone full defensive except for the Rod of Ages. Very, very tanky now. 007X in the bushes. This is his home terrain. Jumps onto Sir. Sloppy with his bolas. Release those very, very impatiently, so he's not going to get the lockdown. Celebrity with the blue buff. Double buffs onto that Lucian. A good amount of damage landing onto Beyond. And the threat of the 5th dragon for 269 still looms in the air, but in terms of positioning, BKT are the ones that have got the dragon position.
I think these BKT, they need to be smarter about their vision game. And here comes 269.
Lloyd
This
split
is
off
just
from the rest of the
intense.
team. Yeah.
This is just intense.
This is the Dragon Dance of the game. 40 minutes in, ladies and gentlemen. Death Timers will be quite formidable. But look at this. Warlock jumps onto the back line, but a fantastic ultimate from Heaven actually locks down Lloyd at the back. He's been zoned out, but so far it looks pretty good. There's the 5th Dragon though. That might turn the tides, but hang on a second. Lloyd actually was dropped down, or rather 269 has already dropped their 80 carry. That is their consistent damage that has dropped down. Meanwhile, G4 still looking good. The Aegis actually, or the Locket, still keeping them alive, and the Massive Groot actually bullying out King JJ right there. So far, it looks like BKT somehow managed to actually find a 4v1. That fight was so chaotic. I'm not even sure I could keep track of all the action.
I mean, at this point, however, in the fight, you can start to see the problems that BKT is having in dealing with 269's composition. The moment you go for these team fights where you aren't really picking anyone off with your skew shot abilities, 269, King JJ just rushing the backline, bursting Lloyd down so low the moment the fight breaks out, and Valen can't do anything about it.
I want to say as well, you know, if only the replay system would actually be working, is how exactly Celebrity died. You see that he still has his flash available, and that really was the key, right? Where, as you mentioned, if you don't manage to pick off one of the members on the side of 269 right away, especially their damage dealers, you know, that scaling would just kick in. But Celebrity, you know, wasn't exactly picked off, but he died very, very early on to that fight. Basically, the moment the 5th Dragon buff actually hit, you know, Celebrity having a few more seconds on that really could have swung the fight, but right when it hit, he was taken out as well.
I mean, this is where 269's experience coming from Group D is coming to play right now, because BKT, there's no denying that. They played the mid-game really well, was really clean execution. We saw the Rengar jumping in, bursting people down, we saw the follow-up. But when it starts to hit those later stages of the game, this is where 269 experience comes in. You know that we just have to hold on, play to our win conditions. We have the skilling advantage. 5 dragons ready on them for the first time. Every time the dragon spawns, BKT, they're gonna be so pressured to deal with it.
Very, very true, and it's just so lovely how that dragon is just an opportunity for, you know, really closing out the games, because you can't let that person get, hold that thought, double step next, actually activating his ultimate here, they lock Heaven down. Not going to be all too effective again. That's the tank of 269 pretty much, but with the Baron buff, once again, wave clear, very, very difficult on the side of 269. So, crucial moment for BKT. They've got one inhibitor down, they've got one lane that will automatically push on its own. Now they've got one lane, top side, pushing in their favor, but bottom lane is pushing against them as well. So we'll see how exactly they deal with this kind of parallel lanes pushing.
They still have the tier 2 into bottom lane, so perhaps they're feeling a little bit safer about that. It can be a huge lane pushing in, but we have the Baron buff right now. We aren't going to be wasting any of the time. We're going to be looking for extended seizure with that throw charms, throw orbs of deceptions, throw the cocky missile to their opponent, and try to do as much damage and perhaps get the power down as possible.
Oh, looks like Heaven is actually picked off at the side right here. G4 actually expending his ultimate on pretty much the 2 tankiest members on the side of 269, but look at that, he's doing a great amount of damage to them, and this means a very, very split up 269. Beyond looks like he wants to do his part in zoning away the members of BKT himself. Once again, G4 just pulling more than his weight, actually isolates Sir with his over-aggression right there, flashes away as well, but no more mobility, a good lockdown coming down from Heaven. Celebrity is still healthy, there's the exhausted drop him. Lloyd still looking good as well, looks like they will be able to take down Heaven. Lloyd sitting in the Devour right now, but no, gets the Mikhail's actually still healthy. The Poppy, will he be able to take him down? No, not yet, and it looks like BKT's damage still very much alive. In fact, 4 members alive as compared to the 1 member on the side of 269. Celebrity, can he face up to the cameras right now? 4 members going for him. Looks like they won't be able to. Looks like they have gotten the Rengar ultimate up now. That's how much time has passed. The swag TP coming in for Warlock as well. BKT finally find a team fight that they want. Have to give props to G4 right there. He's the one that started it all off for them. And finally, they take down the Nexus 43 minutes in.
Cutting it really close. Jerry Evan is going to be GG. BKT, they take out Zotac 269 the first game. To me, it looked like 269, they had the game in the back at certain periods of time because BKT, they just weren't able to close. They made so many mistakes that game, and 269 were able to capitalize on those, even picking up 5 dragons for themselves. But in the end, it just came down to the one team fight around the base, and I have to say, G4 played amazing that fight. He baited out so many skill shots, he did so much damage over time, and 269 just weren't able to respond to his Ari.
So, folks, that is the conclusion of game number 1. Maybe throws 269 some questions on whether or not it was the right move to not completely ban away G4, because he definitely was instrumental to his team's success. That'll be running through their minds, and we'll be going for a quick break. But after when we come back, it will be the second match between 269 as